can say it's very, very simple. All the time we're working on ourselves in a way, and working on ourselves that we try to form ourselves, how we should be. And what we're coming to is to let yourself be. Just let yourself be, whatever you are. And then the form you give to it in the world is something else. This we can kind of have an influence on. But that gives a very deep kind of inner peace with yourself, with the form you take, and whatever. And that's what we're kind of moving towards. Give yourself a break.
You can become very, very psychic and open up a whole almost infinite intelligence on this level through these points of the previous course. But it's not quite really integrating the rest. It's like until the thyroid. For some people can live like this, and on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday they're gathering psychic information. Wednesday, Thursday they're in a rage. They're incredibly lonely and in despair. Friday they pick themselves up. Saturday they're already in this transcendental position again and gathering psychic information. It's not so whole. It's not negated, it's just not integrated. It's beautiful, but it's just one aspect. And it's so much more when it can come through all the layers of human, which includes the heart layer. And this course is really about allowing truth, which in the end, the center point is going to be in the heart, where heaven meets earth and where we, the existence in us, meets the existence in others. So it's going to be, and that's really at the heart level where you have this junction. So it's really, really easy for us to say, allow fear and move beyond fear. But as long as that's just a thought, it's not actually anything other than a thought. It's not, when the fear comes, if then we go straight back into our minds again, rather than experiencing. We're allowing fear to take all the space it needs. Just resting in the experience, then we go back into the mind again. And this is the kind of circulation that tends to happen. So you can watch or listen to a teacher who says, come into the power of the now. And there can be an incredible awakening. Totally awake in the power of the now. But for very, very good reason, this gets lost. This moment of absolute timeless, spaceless presence gets lost. And the reason is that when you move totally behind the mind and liberate the thoughts in pure consciousness, what becomes very, very clear is what's happening on the level of feeling. There's an opening there, because it falls out of the structure, the habitual structure. And so at first this can be a lovely feeling, but sooner or later I can absolutely guarantee that in every one of us there's a good reason why we stay in the mind, why this is happening. And often the reason is that there's something very, very, very painful on the level of the heart. And Bart began to go into rejection, and the fears of rejection, which is almost like the meta fear. If you look at it, if an animal, if a horse is rejected, if he gets ill, he's rejected. If he's rejected, he dies. Death is a kind of rejection out of life. If you misbehave, you're rejected. You see it in nature, it's the fear above all fears. If you sexually misbehave in a group of horses, you're rejected. So all of the classic fears we learnt about in Healing 2, sexuality, illness, death, insanity, all of these fears lead to the big fear, which is the fear of rejection. So this fear of rejection, when we allow it, actually moves in the level of the heart. What we can find is the feeling of rejection, the pain of it, the pure cruelty of it. And what people tend to do, and what we tend to do with ourselves, is immediately go back to the head then, because this is not containable at first. It's almost like a reflex. Before we know it, if we're rejected and it hurts like that, it doesn't even matter the other people yet. That kind of feeling of cruelty in the vulnerable heart sends us back into the mind, and we begin to try and structure it almost in a panic. And no matter what, we can say, okay, I allow the pain. The pain is unbearable. Okay, what most people do is say, is even before rejecting the other, before they're rejected, they say the best defense is attack, and I'm going to reject everybody before I even move into life, to some degree, so as not to experience this pain. So, when Bart says, let it be, it's really, really great to move deeply into the heart without meeting this. But when it does appear, because it is there, in the human field, it's there, cruelty is there, this pain is there. It's very, very important to let it be, to allow ourselves, if necessary, to die in it. But as much as possible, also to allow, if we need a break, to go to another place, to the body, to the breathing, to the mind, to give it some structure, to allow that as well. It's a process. Rejection is really connected with cosmic awareness, because rejection is based on either or. It's based on this division. He likes me or he dislikes me, and we need to come to a position where it really doesn't matter too much if we're liked or disliked. Rejection is really based on this mental thing, so when we come back into the minds out of that pain, that's the opportunity to then say, they could dislike me right now and they could like me tomorrow, and anyway it's not about me, as a kind of support to move back to allow this feeling. The opposite polarity of rejection, this is where it really becomes at the kind of crux of it, the opposite, the only antidote to rejection possible, beyond the one who's watching the whole game, is acceptance. So we cannot deal with the pain of rejection by rejecting rejection. It's really, and now we're talking in the energetic movement, it's a permission we give ourselves to be hurt, to be in pain.
So permission to the other to reject us.
And more often than not, if another is rejecting, and they are actually, not beyond projection, they are actually making this movement deliberately, it's because they are so unable to contain the pain of rejection themselves. The motive for rejection tends to be rejection. It might not be that you rejected them, but somebody did. This pain is there in them. And in a way, they put it down as a shared pain, and then in no time everybody can feel kind of rejected somehow. It's not quite rational even, so the mind comes to service to try and give it structure. It's a big one in the deepening of the heart, but the antidote is really acceptance. To agree to feel it, because it's not absolute, it doesn't last forever. When we can allow it, the movement deeper into the heart brings an incredible freedom and strength and love and everything, or whatever, but the qualities start to be released. In the area of our qualities, for example, this is why a lot of us don't express our qualities, because we begin to express it, and immediately we hit something which is perceived as rejection, and this pain comes forward, the qualities go back in again like a compact jewel, and the free flow is stopped. Better not, because of this pain, so we sacrifice our qualities. We sacrifice so much because we don't agree to accept rejection. So a lot rests on this ability to let it be, whatever feelings are out there in the level of the heart. Enormous amount rests on it. And it's not like, you have to kind of die in rejection, it's just that the more, there is really a reward, that the more we're able to allow it, the more we come to life, the more we are able to expand. And if we just allow ourselves to stay a little bit, the little bit double reward is immediately there within the next 8 hours, 10 hours. It does move if we agree to be there, if we stop rejecting the rejection. And then the need for the mind to start dictating the truth and structuring and everything is much less. It's just there's just much more quiet. It's in the same way that we can't stop our thinking by thinking that we shouldn't be thinking. You know? It doesn't work like that. It works by agreeing to let it go, thinking, but not in the way of rejecting thoughts and there must be no thoughts in my mind, in the way that you just unhook from it. The thinking's happening, like the TV. It's just not held onto. So now that we're moving into the meditation, it's kind of nice to say it's more for real, experiential. And really, really, the pain is worthwhile. I mean, it's Khalil Gibran. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. This is ancient wisdom, and it's so true. Sometimes we get the joy through the back door and around, and we can avoid like this, but for a while, it's not completely true.